everyone. Long time no see. This is the first time I'm actually filming since the beginning of November, maybe. School's been crazy and I just need a little bit of a break. Sometimes you need to do that, and everyone should be able to take some time to themselves. So I am back though, and I'm very excited because today guys, oh, I just sounded like Alan. Well, today I have a super special episode of my channel for you. We are going to put on our conspiracy hats and talk about what's going to happen in the last SENLIN book. I'm so excited. As you all know, I enjoy my conspiracy theories, and my hat's going to fall off. I think it's the best tinfoil hat on BookTube so far. I certainly think it's the tallest. We'll see if it actually stays on my head. As you all know, I have a lot of theories, and one of my favorite things about reading and about reading books that have these expansive, intriguing worlds is trying to figure out what's coming next and how all of the little breadcrumbs that we've been left can lead us to our conclusion. So I definitely don't think I know the full, what's gonna happen. But I definitely have some ideas about things that have been laid out for us in the first 3 books. I finally finished the Hod King not too long ago, and I was able to fully complete my list of things that I have already predicted that came true and kind of flesh out what I am thinking going into the last book. So I'm going to start off with the things that I predicted that actually did come true, or that I was right about, I guess. Do I keep the hat on or do I take it off? I'm going to try to keep the hat on. The first one, and I'm almost certain that this has been proven. I don't think it's been explicitly said, but it was kind of alluded to, and I'm pretty sure I'm right. And that is that the Sphinx is actually the bricklayer's granddaughter, the one who was in the painting that they're looking for in order to, open the door, which we'll get to the door in a minute. Number 2, the baby was totally SENLIN's. I mean, if you did not get that at the end of Arm of the Sphinx, what are you even doing with your life? Give up trying to predict anything, because that one was kind of just handed to us. Number 3, SENLIN was going to become a Hod and was going to be reunited with Teru, because I knew he was going to come back in the story, and he did, and I was so excited when we got to see him again. And I just hope that he's learned from his thieving rapscallion ways and will be a good person in the end. I think he will. And based on his interactions with SENLIN in the Hod King, I think that he's had a little bit of a character growth while going through all of the things that he went through, including having to fight in the Colosseum and all of that. And my last one was the energy stuff that was going on in the tower. So my idea was partially true. I don't know if you've seen from my SENLIN Ascends and Arm of the Sphinx videos, I talked about how it seemed like different things in each ringdom of the tower were kind of feeding into the actual energy source for the tower and powering it somehow. So the beer me go round and all the bellows and keeping up the fires in the parlor, and we go on and on and on. That was partially true. I did not get the whole will-o'-the-wisp thing. I definitely did not see that being a thing, or the circuit breaker thing in Pelphia. I just thought the truth, the actuality that we learn when the Sphinx kind of tells Edith about everything and tells SENLIN about everything, because you kind of get it in pieces. Yeah, it was way cooler than anything I imagined. So just more proof that Josiah Bancroft is a genius and that his imagination knows no bounds. Okay, there were things that I was definitely wrong about, and I will admit to the things I was wrong about. Only 2 I really remember. And that was, I definitely thought the Hod King was a person. I don't know about you guys, but never in my wildest dreams did I imagine that the Hod King would be this drilling machine based off of a ancient trilobite. That, nowhere in my imagination would that have ever been. Yeah, Just no way. I didn't think it was the Marat, or not the Marat, but Marat. I didn't think it was him, even though he's on the cover of the Fall of Babel, just because I feel like it would have been too easy for him to have been the Hod King. I figured it was someone else, and while we were kind of going through most of the Hod King, I thought for a second, I was like, could it be Georgina Haste? But then, everything that goes down with her and Edith, like, absolutely no way. So that was one of my bad assumptions. And my other one was, I was so certain that Edith and SENLIN were endgame, guys. Endgame. And now I am definitely not positive about that. I have a theory about what's going to happen with Edith. We'll get to that in a little bit. But Maria's back, and there's a baby, and all of this stuff. And, like, SENLIN is a pretty upstanding dude, and one of the things, like, he's always been going after Maria, and he said that he still loves her, and that it would all be based upon, like, whether or not she was happy and all that stuff. And now there's been a lot of miscommunication. So I'm not quite sure that Edith and SENLIN will end up together, because I think that hinges on a lot of stuff with Maria. So, after all of that, let's get to my predictions for the last book. I'm so excited to read The Fall of Babel. I have had a copy for a couple of weeks now, and I have not started reading it because I have been waiting to film this video, because I did not want to have any preconceived notions or any knowledge about whether or not I was right or wrong about any of this until after I film this, because I want my excitement to be honest. And, if I say something, like, you just know if I was right. Like, I didn't want to do that. So, I guess they're questions / predictions. So we'll go with that. My first one is, will Edith be asked to kill Marat? Because she is the arm of the Sphinx, and I feel like that would be some sort of poetic justice for her to be asked to kill Marat. I also don't think that the Sphinx would have any qualms asking her to do that, because, dude needs to be gone. Dude needs to leave, like, right now. He's way too Machiavellian. I don't like him. I feel like he's going about it the wrong way. And so I'm hoping that she's asked to kill Marat, but now that, the Sphinx has disappeared for all intents and purposes, who knows if the Sphinx even has a way of communicating with them. But I would like to see her kill Marat. Okay, guys, so my first big theory is around the vault, the door, the bridge of Babel. And it doesn't only concern what's in the door or what's behind inside the vault. It also kind of touches on what is the purpose of the tower. Like, we all have been asking ourselves this throughout every book, correct? You're lying if you say you haven't. We all want to know why the bricklayer made the tower and why he made it the way he did. I'm going to start with my first theory, which is a little bonkers, which is why I have my tinfoil hat on. And that is that the tower is a spaceship. I know, it's a little out there, but I have reason to believe that it might actually be true. I'm just going to read a couple of lines from here just to kind of illustrate my point. And this all happens when the Sphinx and SENLIN are having their conversation after he escapes the library and detoxes from all those drugs he was huffing. And she actually shows him the zoetrope and shows him the door and explains all these things to him. When she's showing him the numbers and everything, SENLIN's like, what are these? She says a combination, the combination of the door that you need to get in. And he asks, what is it for? And she says, to the heavens, of course. Come, I will show you. And then she takes him to the door and starts explaining everything. To the heavens. To the heavens, she says. To the heavens. And then she mentions that everything around them, the bricks, the floors, the ceiling, the walls, everything above and below them, the actual structure of the tower, is not part of a tower. Not the tower, but a tower, which leads me to believe that the tower was not constructed to actually be a tower, but perhaps was interrupted in the middle of its construction because of whatever happened to the bricklayer, and his vision could no longer be finished at that point. And so instead of actually becoming what it was meant to be, it turned into the tower, and then we all know how that came out. Continuing, she says it's a bridge, an unfinished bridge, and SENLIN's not buying that. She says to the moon, the planets, the stars, everything else, it is a bridge to the heavens. And SENLIN still doesn't believe her, and so she says, it's a bridge, not to the air, but to the edge of our world's influence. The whole universe waits to be explored, and we're stuck here squibbling in the mud. When she talks about what's inside the vault, she says, inside the vault is a means to restart the work. A plan, a way forward, a way upward. Spaceship, guys. Spaceship! Up to the heavens. Even when she's talking about Murat and explained to SENLIN why they need to stop him, she says it's because he doesn't want to see our race ascend. Now, granted, I understand that ascend could possibly mean other things. It could be taken in a more broad scope, and it doesn't have to necessarily mean ascend as in up to the sky. However, it could mean up to the sky because, I mean, what would be more surprising in a book this whimsical? That it be some big allegorical thing, like ascending to a higher truth or some philosophical moral standard that we have not gotten to yet. Or would it be more whimsical if it were just a spaceship? Because I personally think it would be more fun if it was a spaceship. Okay, I have another theory about what's inside the vault, but I'm going to take off my tinfoil hat because that was my most crazy, my most out there prediction. Oh, to add on to the thing. Add on to the spaceship one. He also says that, he came to the limit of the day's technology. Yeah, a long, long time ago, probably couldn't build spaceships or probably didn't have the required engineering to take off from the ground and do all those sorts of things. So maybe that's what he was waiting for. And then the bridge is actually a bridge. So if you've seen Star Trek or anything like that, it's the bridge of a ship is where you control the ship. So what if the bridge is the bridge of the tower spaceship? Food for thought, guys. Food for thought. My second thought about the vault actually has to do with the same conversation, and it could be taken a slightly different way. So she says, and I quote, that the bricklayer didn't finish his building of the bridge because he came to the limit of his day's technology. He came to the limit of his life. He realized that years and decades would be required to develop the understanding, the expertise necessary to continue the work. And that the unfinished bridge became a finished, unworthy tower. And that it wasn't supposed to take that long. It wasn't supposed to take this long to reach the point where people could work together and they could open the vault and all those things. It wasn't supposed to take this long. The tower wasn't supposed to become the monstrosity that it has become. She says inside the vault. Again, the same kind of thing that I was getting at for the spaceship. There's a means to restart the work, a catalyst, a plan. Our redemption lies behind that door. And my thought is, if the bricklayer had such an amazing idea, if he's had such a plan to bring a race of humans to the heavens, to ascend, to do this brilliant, amazing thing, why would he just leave his plans locked inside a room and trust that the people who opened that vault would be able or willing to carry out his work? I just feel like it is too important for him to just leave for someone else. And so my thought is that the bricklayer is inside the vault and that he's in some sort of stasis, perhaps via the blood of time, which we haven't talked about yet, but we'll get there. Maybe he put himself in stasis, and if he thought that it wasn't supposed to take that long, then, that makes a lot more sense for him to be in this frozen state for so long. So when you open the vault, it triggers some sort of mechanism that will stop stasis and wake him up so he can continue his work. And then he can work together in harmony with the people who have, supposedly come together to open the vault, which isn't actually what's happening. So, one of the two. Moving on from that specific point, my next prediction has to do with what I was talking about with Edith and SENLIN before. And I have a feeling that Edith is going to die. I really think that she's going to die. And I think that she's going to do it not only to save SENLIN and Maria, because wouldn't that be poetic, but to save everyone. And I know that seems a little stereotypical, but I don't really care, and I kind of want it to happen because I feel like it would be a fitting end for Edith, her strong, independent female character who is just, I love her so much. And she has weaknesses, and one of her weaknesses is SENLIN. And so I feel like she would put herself in physical danger, not just to save everyone else, but specifically if SENLIN was in danger. I feel like she would do that. And so my hunch is that, she was shown the lightning by the Sphinx. She saw the roiling red lava lightning pit that exists that's threatening to blow up the tower. And the Sphinx even says, I've passed on the curse to you, the curse of knowing. She's the only other one who knows about this, except for maybe Murat, I can't remember. But she's the only other one. And I just feel like she's going to be the one to sacrifice herself to stop whatever explosion it is that could possibly happen, or stop Murat himself from, if she doesn't kill him first, from destroying the tower, but do it for SENLIN. Not just so that he lives, but so that he can have his happy ending with Maria, because how else is he going to have a happy ending unless Edith is gone? Because he loves her. He does. He loves her and he loves Maria. And so how else would he have his happy ending? And I feel like SENLIN has to have his happy ending. I don't feel like Bancroft would do that to us. I don't think that he would build all this up to not let SENLIN be happy in the end. And I feel like it makes more sense for Edith to be self-sacrificing in that way than for SENLIN, especially since the entire point of him coming into the tower was to find his wife anyway. So, my next point is, when we see Adam depart in the arm of the Sphinx, because we didn't see him at all in the Hod King, and I was really sad because I love Adam and I missed him. We get to the top of the tower, like the very, very top of the tower, and we got all these crazy things happening. These people in these suits, and there's guns and laser things, and there's giant sculptures and stuff, and it's all very mysterious, but it's not anything like Adam thought it was. He was prepared for this paradise that this pirate's journal told him about. But the whole part where the guy is knows Adam, he calls him by name and says all these weird things, and it's like, oh my god, how does he know? And stay with me here, guys. Maybe I should put my foil hat on again. Okay, I'm putting my foil hat on again, because this is a little crazy. What if the people in the upper ringdoms can watch the people in the lower ringdoms? There's some sort of tower reality TV or something where they broadcast or can watch people who are interesting or entertaining, who are within the tower for long periods of time and stuff. What if they can watch people? That's the only reason I can think of that they would know his name and know about him and about his sister and all this sorts of stuff. They have to have been able to see stuff in order for them to know Adam. And my other prediction about the people at the top of the tower is it seems like there's sentries there, and that they're shooting at anything that comes towards the tower. So I have a feeling they're some sort of guardians for the tower. But guardians against what? What's gonna come after the tower other than people in normal airships? Is it just to keep people from getting close to the upper ringdoms? That means that there's something going on up there that they really don't want anyone else to know about, and enough that they're willing to shoot down a whole bunch of people in these airships. So Feel like they might be guardians. Not quite sure yet. We'll find out, or at least I hope we do, because I don't think that he'd just leave Adam up there and never bring us back. I miss Adam. My last big point that I want to make, and I know this has been a long video, but there are so many other things that I could talk about, like that there's this whole class of like W.D. Wakeman that are doing something, but he doesn't explain what that is. There are so many mysteries that we could talk about, but I will go this one last one. And if you guys will stay with me, I will read to you from the Hod King. When they go underneath the Colosseum into the old university, which was so cool. Oh, I can take my hat off now because I'm not being crazy anymore. They discover that Hod, who was keeping watch over the, engineering graphics of the trilobite Hod King. And when they catch him and he basically takes a suicide pill, he says this poem. If you wish to axe a tree, you must use a little wood for the haft. To see heaven's collar pulled into a noose, to see the Hod King pluck the black worm out of his hole, to see the kings erased and the men who remember them forgotten, to see the rubble of the tower spread across the earth, to swallow our tongues and grow new ones. Come the Hod King. Now, there has not been a single thing that has been more loaded than that sentence in the entirety of the first 3 books. So let's break it down. So the first line, if you wish to axe a tree, you must use a little wood for the haft. So in order to take down something, you might have to use part of that thing to do it. So my thought is that in order for them to destroy the tower, this whole system that they despise, that's built on the backs of Hods, that thrives and lives on unpaid manual labor, where they're essentially worked to death and starve and are eaten by these monsters inside, that, like, all of this stuff. Obviously they hate it, but they recognize that they have to utilize it in order to take it down. They're going to use the resources of the tower and the power of the tower, not to rhyme, against it so that it can be destroyed. That's what I think that means. The next line. To see heaven's collar pulled into a noose. Heaven's collar is what they call the cloud ring that is around the top of the tower that obscures, the top couple ringdoms. Are they trying to literally cut the top of the tower away from the bottom of the tower so that there's no communication, so that there's no sharing of resources, so that things like that can't happen? To me, that says that the top of the tower must be a threat, which we saw in the Arm of the Sphinx when Adam went up there, and we see that it's like a war zone up there. So I think that they, like a noose, heaven's collar as a noose. You think of it tightening around it, and so basically cutting off the head of the tower. That's what I think. I'm assuming that the people at the top of the tower, the communities at the top of the tower, are the highest threat to the Hods right now, except for the Sphinx themselves. The next one would be to see the Hod King pluck the black worm out of his hole. I really don't think that this needs a lot of interpretation. I think it's literally luring the Sphinx out of his lair. And he says he because, Marat doesn't know, or well, I guess the Hod King, now we know that the Hod King is, I just figured it out. They're going to try to dig. They're going to try to dig into the Sphinx's lair to lure the Sphinx out. We'll see if that works because, the Sphinx has kind of disappeared. So are they even in their lair? What's going on? We don't know. But that one's pretty self-explanatory. They want to pluck the Sphinx out so that they can do whatever they want to him and that he can't fight against them. Next line. To see the kings erased and the men who remember them forgotten. Also kind of self-explanatory. They're going to kill the oppressors and any of those who were loyal and complicit in their actions. So pretty much like the entire kingdom of Palphia and all of the governors and heads of state for the different ringdoms that helped perpetuate the Hod slavery and the just straight up abuse of them, which means everyone who just went, this is the way things are and this is how it's going to be. And so, yeah, I think they're going to kill a lot of people. Take them out. I think forgotten is like a euphemism for axing them. All right, the next line. To see the rubble of the tower spread across the earth. They don't want to just take down the people inside the tower. They want to destroy the tower physically so that, in my opinion, nothing, like, it can't become its thing ever again. If they leave the empty shell of the tower or just destroy the people that they think are the problem, then it could evolve again, and then the whole thing could start up again. I think they literally want to tear the tower down so that nothing like this can ever happen again. Will that happen? I don't know. I also think that's why, the Hod King itself is a construction drill sort of thing. It gives me, like, the Siege of Ba Sing Se vibes for anyone who's watched Avatar: The Last Airbender. That's what it makes me think of. So they're literally drilling through the tower, and by doing that, you can completely destroy it. If they make enough of those, then there you go. The last line, to swallow our tongues and grow new ones. I think that has to do with the language of the Hods and the destruction of the society they have right now. I think that they want new lives. And they don't want to ever have to use the language of the Hods again. So that's the swallow our tongues, to get rid of the language that they had to speak because they were Hods, to get rid of the life that they had, and then to grow new ones, to create a new society that's all theirs, all their own, where they're not enslaved, and the liberation basically for them in a world without the tower. That's what I think that means. And so that's a really powerful statement by this Hod. Come the Hod King. Like, it's hard to see the Hods as evil in this book, in this series, because the Hods have been so severely abused. They are the proletariat class, basically. They've been shit on for who knows how long, and they're rising up, and it's hard to hate them for doing that. I don't necessarily think the Hods are evil. I don't think they're the enemy. I think Marat is the enemy in some aspects. I think miscommunication is a problem between Marat and the Sphinx because they want the same thing, but they want it in different ways. Marat wants violence. Marat wants to take it down. And the Sphinx wants to harness the tower and help it become the thing it was supposed to be in the first place. The real evil in the tower are the governors and the people, the kings of the tower, who are perpetuating this greed and this frivolity and the abuse of the Hods, who's taken over the tower for their own, and all of the people who are complicit in that. The same people that the Hods want to get rid of. Those are the real evil people in this situation. None of the other parties, except for Marat, because he's kind of a dick. So it makes your whole frame, or at least my whole frame, of looking at what's going on in the story when I move into this last book. I can't wait to see what Bancroft does and how he wraps all of this up. I have no idea where a character is going to be. I would love to see Valletta and Adam reunite. I know there's the whole thing about the owl at the part, like they're going to meet on his birthday at the base of the tower. Is that still going to happen? Will there even be a tower left to meet at? What will happen to the Sphinx? What other ringdoms are we going to see? Like, it's so exciting because there's a promise of all these answers, but there's also a promise of so much more world building that could happen. Thank you for sticking around and listening to all of my crazy predictions, because I love talking about this stuff. I am so excited to finish The Fall of Babel. I'm so excited to read the next series that Josiah Bancroft puts out. I will probably buy anything he writes for the rest of his career. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any ideas about my theories, please put them below. I would love to chat with you about it. However, I will say, if you have read The Fall of Babel, please do not say anything. I don't want anyone who's watching this video who hasn't read it to have anything spoiled for them, and I also don't want anything spoiled for me until I read The Fall of Babel. If you want to talk about that stuff, we can talk about it on my review of Fall of Babel. So thank you so much for watching. Please like, subscribe. I would be ever so grateful, and I hope you guys have a wonderful night.